Good afternoon, everybody. I'm going to do something a bit different today because I've been called upon to do this. I just recently did a journey and a guided meditative journey, and I ended up meeting my mother at the end, and my mother wants me to go because I asked her what topic she wanted me to do next, which is sometimes I do. I ask different spirits, ask myself, whatever I feel. And Abbey had come across a reflection of a person I knew many years ago that was murdered, and it's a very tragic story. But there's part of her energy that was still around, and my mom wants me to do a video to that person, to heal that person, and to do it on YouTube, which is unusual because I usually keep my stuff pretty private. But this is something she wants me to do, and just come along with me if you wish. And this will heal. She's telling me it will also heal you as well, and past traumas that you've had, things that have affected you, and the things that you need to let go of, the things you need to heal. I'm just going to go right into the journey state and take a few breaths in and out. I've already healed part of this, and over the years, this is the thing when a traumatic event happens to us in the physical worlds, we tend to split off into many different fractures. Our soul, like fractures, we always have a part of our soul that goes to the higher realms, but there's also other souls that fracture in the different parts, because our souls are so amazing. They're large, huge, it's just ridiculous how vast our souls can be, and how many lifetimes we could have lived. And everything, we're all interconnected as well, so all these past traumas affect everyone on earth. And she's actually wanting me to tell all you that you have to understand that every single soul on earth is connected to one another. Every single plant, every single rock, every single air molecule, every single atom is all connected to the universe. So it's like a mass network of understanding. And it's kind of like we become a section of this, and it becomes like a sentient version of ourselves, but we're still interconnected. Every atom is connected to the other one. So it's quite interesting, and she's actually shown me what we would call like very like evil or dark or twisted or chaos in itself. Energy is sometimes confined into certain pots, and we tend to isolate those very dangerous energies into an actual cube, or not a cube, but a circular sphere. And sometimes cubes, actually, she says, and sometimes triangles. These specific things, we isolate these energies, but sometimes these cubes and isolations break, and this goes through the whole system. And it's up to us as spirits to learn to be able to bring that energy back into balance. I'm standing in the ocean, a vast ocean, and I see a woman that is sinking. And she has her hand out, and I follow her down, and she hits the bottom, and she's like got these stones wrapped around her feet, her arms, but they're not real. It's like a energy stones, but she doesn't feel that way. And it pulls her down into the earth, into the sediment underneath, and it causes a lot of stuff to puff upwards. I continue to follow this energy downwards, and it's going down really, 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 really fast. It's like we're falling in a vast, like a huge, massive tunnel into the abyss, into blackness. And she's being pulled down ridiculously fast, and she hits the bottom and fractures. And it's like her soul breaks and pieces go into the earth all over the place. And this part stays here of her broken body, stays in that form, and all these pieces go into the earth. So I follow this specific piece, the one I know the energy is attached to, because you have to use your heart. You have to use your senses to know, okay, these pieces broke off. Well, which one do I need to go to? I don't know. How do I do that? You follow the one that your heart tells you to follow. It's like walking on, it's like glass that is point sharp shards, like 360 around, but it's a square room hallway and it's full of jagged glass pieces all over the place. So I just float through that. And to center, I turn myself into a long tube and I go right through the center, and it gets smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. It's just ridiculously small. It's like you'd be like ripping your soul to shreds to even get to this point. And that's what she's like. She didn't even shrink down. She just allowed her soul to be shredded. So when she gets to the other end, there's a pinpoint of light, and all this other part is shredded, and it's turned black, and it wraps around and goes into the light. And then she feels like she's getting shredded every moment and every day. I see this version of herself, broken body, shredded, like really ripped apart, climbing onto this rock, and she falls onto the rock and lies down. And these broken parts wrap around the rock and become part of the rock. So now you can't reach over and grab her because her soul is embedded into this rock. And she, even this, like the what you would call the physical part of her spirit, is pushed into the rock, and now it's like obsidian glass, and there's really just her nose was the last thing, and it just slowly disappears. She's pulled into the rock, and this rock turns into like a glass obsidian, and you can see her inside this stone. And this is what her soul did to cope with what happened. I walked up to the stone, and I don't shatter it, because you have to allow your soul to choose what to do, because it knows what to do. And I touched the stone, and I slowly pushed my hand into the stone so I can touch her. And I touch her. The energy at first is like attacking my hand, and it's like I just keep pushing down. The energy cannot hurt you unless you allow it to. And I actually push down until I touch her heart. And I go into the stone. This creates a massive amount of pressure in the stone itself. And it's like it literally explodes and then stops in mid-explosion. And it stays like that for very, I don't know, it just stays like that at this point. And I continue to go into her heart. I see very difficult scenes, because you got to remember I knew this person very well. And she had a very traumatic death. And I'm reliving that death, and I'm not going to go into details of what happened. It would serve no purpose. But she does go through this. This part of her soul is going through this pain and suffering all continuously. until she becomes numb to it. It's the best way to describe it. Like she just becomes numb, and it becomes like just a thing that has to be done every single day. I'm not even exactly 100% sure what happened, but they're showing me what happened. And something that is difficult to watch. I just allow the energy to pass. And I enter in the boat, and I have these like energy things that can come out, and all the people on the boat get like these energies go through into their bodies, and they glow really, really, really bright, and they just turn to dust. So it's just me and her in the boat now, and she's looking at me, and she runs over to me and she starts to cry. I glow really bright, and I take her out of this space, and it's like as this is shattering, I'm bringing her upwards, and now this part of her soul is coming with me. And it's like as I'm flying through, I go through the top of this. The sky is like a piece of glass, and I go right straight up through the glass, and it shatters everything. I go really high up to like a high cloud, and I place her down in the cloud, and I allow the sun to shine on her. And an angel comes forward. It's actually her father. And she comes over to her and gives her a really big hug. And she starts to cry. And he nods at me, and he takes her back into heaven. But whichever that is for anybody, it doesn't matter. But he takes her back to a beautiful place. Before he leaves, he drops a tiny crystal, and it falls right down into that dark place and hits it, and right to where she was inside the stone, and it glows extremely bright, and it's like the whole place just gets pulled into this bright stone and collapses into itself, and it spins. And it goes straight up into the air, and he grabs it, and all that whole place is now gone, completely vanished. And he holds it in his hand, and he leaves. He walks through the doorway. Simple journey, but not so simple. But it helps you understand what happens to souls when traumatic events happen, and how us as physical beings are able to go and help individuals, to help people to heal from that experience, to grow from that experience, to let it go, to be transformed by it, not controlled and consumed by it. Thank you very much, everyone. If you wish to do a session with me, you can visit my website at amonrossawakening.com. You can visit also my Northern Lights page at josephbradleyauroras.com. And I also have another site I've done recently, which is hiddenauroraspirits.com. Thank you very much, everyone, and have a wonderful day.